In this video, we'll create a size chart using the rulers in VStitcher. I'll be working with this t-shirt. As you can see, it has a swoop neck, some gathering at the side, a sleeve with a cuff, and a plain back. Before we begin, let's compare the width of the front pattern to the back pattern. To do so, let's activate the Snap to Point feature and snap the front piece on top of the back piece. We can see that the bust and the waist are exactly the same, but the hems are very different, so we may need to create different rulers for them. Let's start to create the size chart. We'll do it by using the guidelines to create the different rulers for the measurements. First, we'll activate the guidelines. Our first ruler will be for the chest. To create a guideline, you just need to grab it. With the Snap to Point activated, the line can snap exactly to the armhole. In the context menu, we can see the guideline properties. I'll move the guideline 2 centimeters below the armhole. Using Shift, I'll also select the shape, and in the context menu, I'll use the feature Trace as Internal Line. Let's continue adding more guidelines for other rulers. For the waist, I'll select the shape with the guideline and trace. And the same for the hem. For the body length, I'll add a vertical guideline, then select and trace, and another one for the shoulder's width. Since the shoulder line is scooped and angled, I would also like to have the measurement of the shoulder width without the drop. For that, I'll add an extra line and snap it exactly to this notch. And again, we'll select and trace. In order to create the ruler for the armhole, we need to find the average amount of the front and the back shape's armholes. Let's snap the armhole of the front shape on top of the back shape. I'll then place a guideline on the highest point on the back armhole and zero out the value. Then I'll place a guideline on the front armhole. We can see in the guidance properties that the front armhole is placed 3.89 centimeters lower than the back. To get the average amount, I'll divide this value by 2. The ruler is now located at the average point of both front and back armholes. To create the armhole ruler, I'll use the pen tool and activate Snap to Guidelines. I'll snap from the armhole average ruler to the lower point of the armhole. The next ruler will be for the neckline and the neck width. To create a straight line, I'll use the pen tool with Shift. Let's create a line from the 2 sides of the neck and from the collar to the line I created. I'll do the same for the front. Let's move to the sleeve. I'll add a guideline and snap it to the notch in the center of the sleeve and trace it. For the bicep, I'll add a guideline and snap it to the point. In the properties, lower it by 2 centimeters and trace as internal line. For size charts, we usually use half of a circumference, and for the bicep, we have a full circumference. I'll unglue it and divide the width by 2. Now we have the exact measurement of the bicep. By holding Shift, I can move it to the center and keep the right position. Now that we have the guidelines in place, let's move on and create the size chart. I'll select the rulers according to the order I want them to show on the size chart. Let's start with the body length. After selecting the line, in the context view, I'll save it as a ruler. In the Resources tab, we can see the ruler properties, the 2D and 3D values of this measurement. The 3D value is the measurement when it's dressed on. Let's change the name of the ruler to Body Length. In the same way, let's add on the other rulers, Bust Width, Waist Width, and the front hem width. For the back width, I'll create the ruler from the edge itself. Across shoulder width, shoulder slope, the natural shoulder width with its shoulder slopes, The next measurements will be the armhole drop, the neck width, back neck drop, front neck drop. For the sleeve, we want to create a ruler using the length of the sleeve and the cuff together. I'll select the internal line of the sleeve length and holding Shift, select the cuff length and save them both as sleeve length ruler. Now I'll add the bicep width. For the sleeve opening width, I can measure it before gathering or after gathering. I'll select the sleeve and cuff width for this ruler. Last one will be waist gathering. Our size chart is ready. Let's open up the 3D window. In the context menu under Line Properties, we can choose Show in 3D. This helps us review the rulers we created on the garment. For example, the bust width ruler looks a bit low for the garment. Let's move it up a bit. Now it's placed much nicer, and it can capture the widest part of the bust. Now that our rulers are ready, we want to make sure that these measurements won't change if we decide to share it with others. I'll start by grouping the rulers of each shape. I'll select all the lines on the front shape, hit right-click, Group. In the Resources tab under 2D, we can see the new group under the front shape. Let's change its name to Measurement Lines. To keep the lines as is, I'll lock it. You can do so either in the 2D window or the Resources tab. When the lines are locked, they can no longer be changed, moved, or deleted. If I want to be on the safe side, I can even hide them, so that we only see them in the Params section in the Resources tab. When we hover over them, we can see that the rulers are still here. I'll repeat this step for the other rulers. For the back pattern piece, I will select all the lines that I want to protect, group them, rename the group to Measurement Lines, and lock and hide them. Unhiding the lines can only be done through the Resources tab by clicking the eye icon. The last piece we will work on is the sleeve. I'll repeat the same steps. Group, rename, lock, and hide. Next up, I'll be creating a size chart to represent all the measurements we made earlier. In the Resources tab under Params, Rulers, there is an export icon. You can export the current size, or if the garment is graded, like this one, you can export all the sizes. By doing so, this will create an export in Excel sheet that uses the size charts for all sizes. We don't need these digits after the point. To change this, choose Format Cells, Number, and choose one number after the point. Here is our size chart. We can also include the size chart in our tech pack. To do that, simply go to File, Create Tech Pack, choose All Sizes and Create. Let's open up the Tech Pack Excel file. You'll notice a specific sheet just for the rulers and all the measurements that were exported as a size chart. If you would like to know more utilizing rulers and size charts, visit help.browseware.com.